Hi, I'm Mandy Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for November 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog, and check out my new school, my Astaria School of Practical Magic, where I assist you with ancient and scientific wisdom to bring magic into your practical reality. This is amazing for empaths, it's amazing for light workers, it's amazing for anyone who wants to bring magic into their everyday experience. So what's going on in the month of November? We're still in this wide open window, at least for half the month, where we can bust things out into the world. This is the second to last open window before our wall of retrograde starts in March. That makes it not the best time for launching new things after that point in March 2018. So this is the close of our 2017 window for new big things, launches, pushing things out for the very first time into the world, births. So that ends around November 15th. There are a couple of dates if you have to push some last minute things through that I'll talk about when I get into the general transits. But first, I want to talk about birthdays for you early Saggies, you November born Saggies. And just note to self for the rest of you Saggies. And a lot of this is really relevant too, even if you're watching for your rising sign, because when the sun crosses over your ascendant, it's a time of birth and a time of rebirth and a time of newness and freshness. So you'll still experience similar birthday energies even if you're watching for your rising sign. If you haven't watched my video, Making Powerful Wishes Using Astrological Power Periods, or Making Wishes Come True Using Astrological Power Periods, definitely check it out for your birthday wishes, because you get 10 birthday wishes and you can use these guidelines to make them the most powerful possible. So you can look, if you just look up Making Wishes Annie, I think it comes up, or you can look up my website, anniehelpsyou.com, under my astrology blog. So happy birthday. So for the rest of you, if you're not an early degree rising sign, or you're not in the first cluster of birthdays, like the early degree Sag birthdays, then you're not going to be having your birthday until the next month, or the crossover of your ascendant until the next month. But what you will have is this powerful grouping of energy in your 12th house. It took me so long of doing astrology to figure this out. That's why I always mention it in the time before people have their birthdays. In those weeks before your birthday, or the weeks before the sun crosses over your ascendant, there's energy that crowds in the 12th house, and it's very uncomfortable. This is an emotional house. Sagittarius, it's not, of course, that Sagittarius don't feel. Of course, we're all sentient beings, but our expression is mostly through action. The more Sag you have, the more action-based you are. Now, if you have a lot of Scorpio energy, maybe this is different for you, then you're very well versed in the emotional realm. So, depending on your personal imprint, this can be different. But the straight, clear energy of Sag is one that is more action-based than it is emotional and feeling-based. We can talk about emotions much easier than actually stopping and taking the time and being with them. So this time for people wired that way can be very uncomfortable. And I was so uncomfortable before my birthday, and I don't know why. We just assume it's this going back over the year and then seeing what we've done, what we haven't done. And maybe that's part of it, but we know from the astrological perspective, when all these planets crowd in your unconscious house, the 12th house, it's the stuff that you sweep under the rug, the stuff you put in the attic, the stuff that falls behind the dryer. That is elucidated at this time, and it's purposeful because you open a major portal for wishing and creating when it's your birthday. So Spirit gives us this opportunity to let fears, anxieties, blocks, limitations, old patterns, negative imprinting come up before we make the wishes. So it helps us to get more in tune with what we want by kind of having these experiences and things brought up with what we don't want. Okay, so if you feel weird before your birthday, now you know why. It's usually temporary. If it's related to these transits, it's definitely temporary. So I think we have that covered. Now, the 12th house is also brought up for all early degree signs, even though, like I said, the middle and later degree signs, this energy is brewing for you. All the things that I mentioned will still be relevant for all Sagittarius. Something else that is happening is the full moon is occurring in or very close to the 5th house for all Sag placements. Okay, so even though the new moon is in Taurus and Taurus rules the 6th house, only the very couple of days of Sag birthdays, or the very few degrees of Sag rising signs, are going to experience that full moon in their 6th house. And even the ones that do experience it in the 6th house, you're still going to have the chance to feel it in the 5th house because it's close enough on the edge. So we can encapsulate the Sag experience by saying everyone has this powerful fullness, fruition, completion coming in the beginning of November. November 3rd is the full moon. It's at almost 12 degrees of Taurus, and it will be in the 5th house. And that has to do with creativity. So I'm calling one of the themes for this month, besides happy birthday, a creativity extravaganza, because creative projects can be birthed in a big way, and we're still in that time frame where we're free from personal planets being retrograde. It's a really, really powerful full moon because there are amazing aspects and challenging aspects all wrapped up in those first 4 days of the month, which I'll go into more details about when I talk about the general transits. But it's just a lot going on, and it's going to be manifesting through this 5th house. So, and meant for, at least partially through this 5th house. So 5th house has to do with children. The whole creative process, whether it's an actual human baby, so from conception to child, pregnancy, childbirth, child rearing, and the same goes for creative projects. The energy for creative projects, that you conceive of the creative project and the whole rollout of being the steward for the project, that's all the same energy as actually creating a human baby. So it can manifest differently for different people. But very likely for people who are parents, children will come into the forefront. Your child might need some help. You might have extra focus on the kids. Something notable might come up involving children. People might find out they're pregnant. There's, very, very strong creative juices flowing. This is also the house of romance and true love. So there could be something brewing, something coming to a head, and it can be the best and worst of things, because the way these transits are hitting, there's just some really conflictive energy, but there's also some really supportive energy. So it's very likely to be very intense either way. I like to save some room around those dates because, like November 3rd, the days around a full moon, because there's going to be a lot going on. And the more you can keep it open, the more you can be prepared to deal with things that are going to come through. So true love, romance, fun, games, hobbies, fun just for the sake of itself. All of these topics are going to be highlighted by the full moon. Then the new moon is going to bring us back up to the 12th house. So early degree placements, many middle degree placements will have that full moon in the 12th house. So back to that deep dark, that new moon in the 12th house. So you've got a really good chance of bringing up fears and then making wishes to integrate with your unintegrated parts of yourself, past lives, using hypnosis, things with the unconscious mind, etc. Lots of opportunity there. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Sagittarius for this month. I want to talk at length about the general transits that will be affecting all of you, because there's a lot of little details that will factor into the whole mood and ways that you'll experience the energies in the month of November. So the theme of the month for all signs for November 2017 is train your inner hero. And this is on account of a bunch of aspects with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid. It's named after a gentle centaur in Greek mythology. Many people who follow Chiron in their charts will know that he's known as the wounded healer. So when you're following him in your chart, this is a place where it's like your Achilles heel, you're strongest everywhere else except there. That's your sore spots, your most vulnerable points. But there's another aspect of Chiron that's lesser known, and that is that he was a trainer of heroes. Many of the figures in Greek mythology, the heroes in Greek mythology that won these victories that we've heard about all this time, they were trained by Chiron. And so as we have aspects with Chiron, challenging and more soft, we have this wonderful opportunity not only to work on this tyrant victim polarity that comes up so readily on the earth plane. That's another piece of Chiron, is to remember that when we feel like someone is being a tyrant to us, then we're automatically a victim, and vice versa. So the belief in any point of that polarity brings perpetuation of the dynamic back and forth and the role playing back and forth. So Chiron assists us to transcend these energies and to drop the story of victimhood and plant the seeds of empowerment. And it also assists us in training our inner hero. So a great trainer will use our weakest spots as not only places to fortify, but also places that make us different than other people, that bring us gifts. So you may find many gifts in focusing on your vulnerabilities at this time from these aspects, and that's one of the themes of the month. So we've got lots of Scorpio energies continuing into this month, and they are going to continue to bring in the themes that they started in October of deep introspection, mysteries, research, psychology. Astrology is in there also from the psychological perspective. This is the house and sign, the 8th house, of other people's money. So inheritances, shared money, marital money, sweepstakes, winning, finding money, money coming from nowhere, debt, credit. All of these are themes that are going to be continuing to be brought up by the Scorpio energies this month. There are many powerful transformations awaiting with this energy because Pluto owns that space of the deepest transformation, birth, death, rebirth. The phoenix rising from the ashes is a way that I always like to describe that energy. So we've got that energy present, but at the same time, this lighter, very different Sag energy starts to work its way in. And when Sag energy becomes present, we have the desire for action and movement, adventure and prolific expression. It's the sign of luck, and it's the energy of optimism, and also is a very strong intuitive, like following hunches to increase synchronicities, and increasing the breadth of our experience. Scorpio energy talks about the depth of experience, and Sag energy talks about the breadth. So we've got both of those going on this month. So you might find a lot of chances to spiral in and go deep, as we also spin out and go really wide. Lots of people will find that they are excited about and ready to and having opportunities to travel or do things with different countries, different cultures, different languages. Sag energy is also very much related to publishing projects, writing, editing, teaching, learning. Teaching and learning programs of any kind are Sag's domain. So, and just fun, Sag is a very easy, light-hearted, fun-loving sign. So you'll feel those energies start to roll in. In November, we are still in that window that started in September of this open time without personal planets being retrograde, but that's only through November 15th. November 15th, the Mercury retrograde shadow period begins. So Mercury doesn't go retrograde in November, but the shadow period starts on the 15th. So every day after the 15th, you start feeling that kind of the mishaps, the miscommunication, stuff with transportation, stuff with the devices coming up. And you can check out my video, Mercury retrograde do's and don'ts, on my channel, Annie Botticelli, Mercury retrograde. Also, you can just tune in to what's happening, and this is one of the most important things that I'd like to teach about astrology, is that you can hear about what's going on in the energies, but the more you start to match these dates with feeling into them, that's the biggest thing, because you will notice it. I have heard countless people tell me when they start paying attention, oh gosh, Mercury must be retrograde again. Things start slowing down, communications start getting more complicated, things from the past start showing up. So if you have a big launch or something you want to burst out into the world, trying to push it out by the 15th is a really good idea, because we don't want your out push to be interfered with by the in roll of Mercury retrograde. Now, that being said, I will talk about a couple of dates after November 15th if you have to push some last minute stuff through that are really nice energies, but try to get the bulk of your gusto out before that time. I always liken this to the idea of being on a deserted island and making a boat. When you try to get off the island, you would not put your boat that you've worked so hard to make, this is your last chance, right? Your only chance to get off the island. You wouldn't put it out when the tide was coming in. It would make no sense. You'd be battling the waves and you probably wouldn't make it. But if you wait, if you watch the tides and you wait until the tide is going out to set your boat afloat, it's much more likely that you're going to reach your destination. So that's why we want to pay attention to these energies. And even though everyone gets, a lot of people get irritated with, oh, it's Mercury retrograde again, I don't want to hear about this. Well, it's true, but it's important as a rhythm, especially in a world where everything is about go, 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 that we have these beautiful retrogrades that remind us that sometimes it's just time to roll a little bit in and then store and save, hold the gold until we have these good launching points and then push out, and then roll back in. So half the month is in this major push out, and then we start moving into this roll back in type of energy. So I'm going to give you some details about some of the aspects to look out for this month and the dates they happen around. Do know that when I give you exact dates that the transits occur on, you could feel those manifestations before or after those dates, because it's not a finite point in time that these things are expressing. We often will feel them before or after. So just kind of pay attention. And always there are positive or easier aspects occurring at the same time as the more challenging aspects that are coinciding with each other. So you have to really tune into your own energy flow. And even if a date's supposed to be good for something, if you're feeling really strong the day before, don't be afraid to just bust it out. You have to use this information to follow your own intuitive flow and not let anything else supersede your own inner knowing. Also, when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, you can get a written version of my general transit reading a month before, delivered right into your inbox, so you can have a visual on it as far as the dates and the energies that they can bring. So sometimes people like that for planning purposes. Okay, so we start out with a Mercury in Scorpio trine Chiron and Pisces. This is one of the many Chiron aspects we have this month. That is why I called the theme of the month Train Your Inner Hero, because of this Chiron presence. And with this combination, and this is like the first through the second, but you could feel it before or after, support could come from inner work or another person as confidence is built through self-acceptance. Chiron, especially in Pisces, is just a very, it's an internal healing, anything that makes us feel like we're not right with anything, with ourselves, with the world, So the more we have self-acceptance, the more we can be open to support from other people because we feel like we deserve it. On November 2nd, there's a Saturn and Sag squaring Chiron and Pisces. So we have this sweet aspect at the same time as this challenging aspect. So it's like this newfound work with self-acceptance is going to be tested by an authority figure, likely something stern from the outside world. But it could be the other way around. It could be that because something is coming in as harshness, we can choose to use the softer energy to just love ourselves, love the person or the being, whatever it is that's reflecting this to us, and do good inner work with it. On November 3rd, we have a Sun in Scorpio trine Neptune in Pisces. This first occurred on July 5th, and it brings a really great focus on creativity and artistic talents. So you might use that energy purposely for creative or artistic work, or you might just find it's naturally brought out of you, that you're kind of in that mood. So this is a really positive and peaceful combination, and it's really supportive to assisting self and others. So then on November 3rd, we also have this full moon at almost 12 degrees of Taurus. Full moons bring fullness, completion, fruition to the sign that it is occurring in. Sometimes it brings drama. Sometimes it brings elucidation, the bringing to light of something. So that will be in the areas of everything Taurian, so this is personal finances, your own earned income, luxury items, earth, eco-related projects. This has to do with your values and also has to do with self-esteem. So we've got a really busy time at the beginning of the month because coinciding with this full moon, we also have something else going on. On November 3rd, which is Venus in Libra sextiling Saturn in Sagittarius. A sextile is a very favorable aspect. It usually is one that requires you to take action in order to get the good possibility from it. So when Venus and Saturn come together, it's really great for taking steps forward with long-term projects. And since there's energy in Libra, it would favor partnerships or working with someone on something. And this is a really great launching point for trying to move forward with things, but it's kind of a mixed bag, because you have all this intensity around, and then the next day you have Venus opposing Uranus in Aries. And so this can bring jolts or overstimulation in the arenas of love or money or self-esteem, so definitely issues with self versus relationship are being brought up. So it's possible that as you have a chance to move forward in partnership, the fears could come up, of merging, and so you can use your intuition to see what you're supposed to do with that. But there's definitely a lot of energy around partnering and doing something for the long term. On November 9th, we've got the Sun in Scorpio making a great aspect to Pluto in Capricorn. Again, this is one that you would need to take action on to get its most positive attributes. And this has to do with bonding with other people in deep ways. So, in love, in money, in business, so you can kind of see this theme of partnership. And this is being brought over from the energies in Scorpio, some energies still in Libra. Libra and Scorpio are partnership energies. So just, it has to do with self, and it has to do with how we relate to others, which is a very common theme for this month. We'll look out on the 13th, or let's see, the 11th first. We've got another beautiful aspect. Now, this is a really big deal because when outer planets, the ones that take a really long time to move around, make aspects to each other, these themes last for a long time because they come together and then they retrograde apart, and then they come together again, and they like follow this flow over an extended period of time where there's a long-term theme. So this is the last of the 3 brilliant matchups of this Saturn and Uranus energy. And these are very different energies. Saturn is long-term, ground building, foundational, and Uranus is out of the blue, surprises, can be unstable, and Saturn is stable, so it's like this coming together of opposites in a way, in a beautiful configuration. So the first time this happened was December 24th, 2016. The second time it happened was May 19th of 2017, and then this is the third time. So it can really bring stability and expansion through the combination of innovation and technology, because Uranus rules innovation and technology. So this transit lasts well beyond the date of November 11th. You'll feel it in the weeks before or weeks after. Sensitive people will have felt it as a long-term theme for almost a year. So on the 13th, we've got a really fantastic aspect for merging. There's so much energy that's really good for weddings, for partnerships coming together. Like I said, it's a mixed bag because there's, the challenges and the fears that come with it, and maybe the red flags even. But Venus matching up with Jupiter is one of the best combinations for love and money, because Jupiter's a great expander and Venus rules love and money. So it can very thoroughly expand. Anything that you do on this day or around this day as far as money or love can be very, very powerful and transformational. So I really love it as a launch date for business things. Again, you just have to feel in, because there is an aspect on the same day where Mercury, which is ruling communication, is in Neptune, is squaring Neptune. And that can mean you're not seeing things clearly, So if you've already done all of the work where you have to, do your testing to make sure everything is cool to move forward, then this could just be a little blip. But if you're just meeting someone at this time, there could be an intense meeting, either romantic or otherwise, but there's this piece where you're maybe not seeing everything really clearly as well. So you just have to look out for that. On the 16th, Venus in Scorpio is making a beautiful aspect to Neptune, and this is wonderful for emotions and intimacy. You can see our theme of this partnership and coming together continues. Now, if you are someone who is moving through this time and you're not merging with people in any way, that doesn't mean that the transformation can't abound prolifically, because Scorpio energy is very deep and can be very individual, even though it does represent the merging of energies as well. But an individual going on a deep transformational journey can very much embody this energy, because it's the story of going deep into the self as well. So you can do really deep inner work with this, solve mysteries, find answers to problems, find solutions. There's a lot of different ways you can use this besides merging with other people. So on the 16th, we also have the sun in a beautiful aspect with Chiron. So Chiron coming up again, this has to do with your forgiveness of self, helping all of your relationships. When it comes back down to it, to simplify so many things in life, we are mad at ourselves and we project it on other people and everything becomes a mess. It's really simple. So self-forgiveness and anything we do with self-forgiveness can be very greatly assisted this month, and that's part of training your hero. Okay, so then on the 17th, we have Mercury and Sag making a trine to Mars, and this is awesome for bringing thoughts into action. So Mercury and Sag is very busy mentally. Even though November 17th is technically in the pre-shadow period, you still can push some good things through on this day. Then we've got our new moon at 26 degrees of Scorpio on November 18th, and this is time to make your new moon wishes. New moon wishes are real, just like birthday wishes are real. You've got this new open window, especially when you align your wishes with the sign that the new moon is in. You can check out my website for a blog about this. It's called Making Powerful New Moon Wishes in Scorpio. If you just go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and go in the blog, go in Astrology, and search for New Moon Wishes Scorpio, you can have a good guideline for how you can maximize these wishes. And I have those every month for every sign, so you can always find them there. But to summarize, you want to use those Scorpio related things that I talked about earlier: partnership, other people's money, deep finances, astrology, psychology, things like that, and align your wishes in those arenas for powerful transformation. This new moon is also going to be making a beautiful trine to Chiron, right? We keep talking about Chiron this month, so it's bringing strength and empowerment and interdependence. There's also a conflict with Mars and Pluto on the 19th that could show up as part of this new moon. Mars squaring Pluto is always a little bit nasty. I'm an optimist. I like to look at the bright side of things, but I will always tell you when I see an aspect that's yucky. It's not that you can't do something good with it. I hope that you will. That's my mantra, is challenging aspects are here for us to push through resistance and clear out issues that are interfering with our highest expression. But it can be kind of nasty, aggression, violence, all of these things. If you are to try to avoid circumstances where things like that could occur, be very careful driving, don't antagonize a crazy person. Things like that are good to avoid when you have a conflict with Mars, which is the ruler of war, and Pluto, the ruler of the underworld. So this first occurred on February 22nd, and it definitely brings the need to carry extra awareness, because it will definitely bring stress and conflict in many cases. Partnership commitments or unwelcome opinions from key relationships may come up, and how you respond to them could be part of the manifestation of this transit as well. By November 21st, that energy has cleared. We've got Venus in Scorpio making a great angle to Pluto. So now maybe that conflict brought things up and now there's a smoothing over points. This can be very intense emotional or romantic experiences. This can have to do with amazing financial opportunities. So like I said, I had mentioned earlier that there'd be a few spots that would be okay for pushing some things through that are last minute things. I don't love them as the big launches if you can help it, only because you're kind of getting into that Mercury retrograde energy. But if you've got to push some last minute things through, November 17th was a good time. November 21st has some good energies. And on the 22nd, we have Neptune going direct in Pisces. So of course, anything that Neptune does is going to affect everybody, but it will affect Pisces even more. When your ruling planet, it's not just because Neptune's in the sign of Pisces, it's because Neptune rules the sign Pisces. So this is a very sobering time, you know, so it's good for becoming practical and organized and making the abstract more concrete. On the 25th, we have a beautiful aspect with Mercury in Sagittarius, trining Uranus and Aries. And like I had said before, even though Mercury shadow period is happening, there are going to be people whose stuff starts to break down at this time and they need to get new devices. This would be a good point to push through, like if you have to get in a vehicle, if you have to get a device. If you haven't done it earlier in the month and things start to break down now from the shadow period having begun, this at least carries some good energy if you have to get some of those new things for things ruling communication and transportation. On the 26th, we have Venus and Scorpio making a trine to Chiron and Pisces. So this is really empowering for finances or your self-esteem or your romance sector. On the 27th and 28th, we have Mercury in Sagittarius making a conjunction to Saturn in Sagittarius. So big picture dreams, which is Sagittarius rules big picture dreams, may need some harnessing and organizing now. That's the influence of Saturn. So that's possible how it could manifest for you. Alternatively, hard work done to rein in scattered efforts can be very much rewarded. You know, since Saturn can be kind of serious and Sag can be light, sometimes the coming together of these energies can be something annoying and limiting to our flow and our expansion. But if you use the energy right, then it can be very productive, especially for long-term ventures. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the month of November for everybody. Definitely check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. Check out my new school, my Astaria School of Practical Magic. If you are an empath, if you are a sensitive person trying to navigate in this crazy world and it feels like the rules are different for you and you don't know why everything is different than mainstream for you, it's definitely an amazing and magical, wonderful support system. So you can check that out at anniehelpsyou.com. Also, definitely check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Tarot Scopes. You can go to iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you have signed up for my newsletter and you're not getting it, we need to figure this out because I send it out religiously every month, a month early. I always have. I will as long as I can. And so if you're not getting it, something's going on with your inbox. It could be in spam. It could be in social promotion events folders. If you use the contact in your welcome letter that I send, there's a contact address that I say to add. And when you add that to your contacts, it gives the message to your email service to put things from me right into your inbox instead of one of those other folders. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.